Burn the witches! Good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins out there around the world. It's time to plug in and get the news train chugging. And the never-ending controversy between Mr. Trump and TikTok and WeChat, his little troubles with China. He's always creating little kerfluffles in order to try and just further provoke the situation. However, the point being, he has issued an executive order. Now, remember, the president cannot make laws. That is the job of Congress. However, they can issue executive orders. The point being, to issue something is a very official term, very formally give or make known. We can issue orders. The police can issue you a fine. Let's say if you're parked illegally or you were driving too fast. Speeding. We can issue warnings, we can issue advisories, we'll see one of those down below as well. Also, because it's to formally give something, that's why each monthly edition of a magazine is called an issue. That's really it. Alright, let's move on. A lot of meat on the bones today, so we got to keep the show rolling. And so Trump extends the free National Guard aid for two pro-Trump governors, saying that yes, we will help you for free only if you agree with me. To extend, to make longer. We're going to see another word for that down below, but extend could be about time or about space, or right now my arm is bent and I can extend my arm to point at the very word I'm explaining. And so, to make longer. But you already knew that. Yeah, I've got actually two extension cords here to plug in the various bits and bobs and components of my streaming setup. Moving on. A new poll, a new survey suggests that Trump's position has stabilized. It was fluctuating, it was up and down. Yeah, people, they weren't sure who they're going to vote for this way, that way, if they approve of him or disapprove of him. But after some weeks of wild fluctuation, some people say that it has stabilized and it's remaining steady at the same rate. I don't know if that's true. I don't know who's saying that. Who made the polls? Who knows? So, let's just move on. Reckless. It's a good one. Reckless, basically a synonym for careless, but if you're careless, that means you're not being careful. Reckless is even stronger. It means that you're not paying attention to the threat of possible danger or harm that could befall you or happen to you. My nose is still tickling. Yes, reckless and irresponsible. The doctor reacts to the claim of this governor. It's reckless. It could endanger his citizens. Reckless endangerment. It's when parents aren't looking after their children and they're just putting them in the face of danger, the possibility that they could get injured or harmed because the parents aren't taking the due precautions to ensure their safety. All right, let's roll. The president's election assault. Assault is just another word for attack. So if you want to just stop saying attack, earlier this week or the week before, we also had accosted. That's another good one, but assault is even stronger because, well, the news, the headlines, they like it to be stronger, bigger, better, faster, more. If it bleeds, it leads. And assault, often used with soldiers in battles and wars. But his election assault leaves an absurd impression. Now, often you probably know that we make impressions on somebody. It gives me the impression that. Just another nice verb that co-locates with impressions, meaning that it leaves you with this feeling. It has changed you somehow. Just like if I hold my finger here long enough, there will be an impression on my forehead. Like there are impressions on your face when you get up off of the pillow or something along those lines. Absurd, ridiculous, ludicrous, wildly irresponsible, virtually unbelievable, silly, bizarre. Yeah, an absurd attack on the election. Saying once again, it will only be fair in states with governors that like him, much like up above. He will extend free aid to states who have governors that like him. It will only be fair in states with governors who like him. Wow. Woohoo! The Saudi crown prince has been accused of sending assassins to Canada to kill ex-Saudi officials. All right, knocking off journalists in Turkey and now trying to assassinate people in Canada. Assassins are people who murder people, basically, often for hire, for money, but not necessarily, because people who say assassinated the president or somebody like that, often it's just for political or religious ideological reasons. And interestingly, this actually comes from a group of very effective warlike people from way back in the day, maybe the 1300s and somewhere in Persia, and they were known for killing people, and they were said to have used hashish before they went on their missions, and actually the word assassin comes from hashishin, and so there's an interesting little piece of history for you there. Yes, bizarre. Cool. Well, the US is now lifting its global do not travel advisory. An advisory is an official piece of advice that is given to you by typically a government or some other governing body. And it's not a rule, it's not a law, it's just an official piece of advice. And they put them on just like restrictions and limitations, and then when they want to finish them, they can lift them because they're taking them off of you. It's almost comical because the US is lifting its do not travel advisory, yet at the same time, right now, most countries are denying visas to people from the US because, well, coronavirus, and we are the one country, or the number one country, for not keeping things under control. Thank you for the diamond. Yes. Oh, way to brighten your day with a little bling bling for the fingers. Or something like that. Sorry. As you can tell, I've had my coffee and a good night rest, and so I am just amped right now. All right, moving on. Cutting edge. Always associated with technology, first arose in the 1800s, and cutting edge is the newest, the most innovative, new steps in technological advancement. And so Russia claims that its testing facilities are the best of the best, the newest of the new. CNN is investigating, so stay tuned. Okay, already the fake news and conspiracies are coming out because people are doctoring videos. The videos have been doctored, and they're already faking the cause of the Beirut blast. To fake, to falsify, just like I could fake your signature on a loan application or a credit card application if I wanted to steal your identity and commit some sort of financial fraud. To doctor something means to change the appearance of typically photos or videos in order to trick and deceive other people. And pretty much all of those influencers out there and celebrities doctor their photos and doctor their videos, and well, now everybody's able to do that with all the different little filters to make your lips look retarded and ridiculous and so on. Shouldn't say that, not PC. My apologies. Seriously. Let's move on. Cries of revolution in the streets because Lebanon was already on the brink of something serious, if not revolution. Then because of economic collapse, their currency had cratered in the past year. Boom, recycling vocabulary. It had plunged, it had plummeted, and times were already tough, and now the downtown exploded. Macron was in Lebanon, and he was mobbed by angry crowds. It's almost redundant here because a mob is an angry crowd, and so to use it here as a verb is when a big angry crowd gets around you and it's a little bit chaotic, it's unruly, it's not orderly. Back in the day, you think of the mobs going to burn the witches, and they've got the pitchforks, those big forks, and the torches. Burn the witches, the angry mob rule. All right. Ooh, on to deep sea news. Scientists have unraveled the riddle of a real-life sea monster. Ooh, to unravel. Because a mystery is like a knot. It's all tangled and tied up, right? And so if you, piece by piece, pick it apart, so that way then the knot is no longer a knot. It's not a knot. And so that is to unravel. Or, here, I've got my good friend and often guest on the show, rope. I've used it to explain frayed, like the very ends of the frayed, but it's 3-strand manila and it's twisted. So if I just continue untwisting it like that, the rope is unraveling. Also, similarly, or if you're wearing a sweater, and there's that one thread that got stuck on something. If you continue pulling on that thread, the sweater will completely unravel, and then you'll have a bunch of thread. Something coming apart, to breaking it down into pieces, to picking it apart, much like we do with the headlines here. And so they have unraveled the riddle of a sea monster. Now, the riddle in this case, it just means the mystery or the puzzle has been solved. But riddles are usually word puzzles in a way that use a little bit of intellect and creativity. And so now, if you bear with me, I have a riddle for you. This is a classic. Once on my way to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Upon each of the wives' backs were 7 sacks, and in the sacks were 7 cats. And so man, cat, sacks, wives, and I, how many were headed to St. Ives? How a yellow jersey is bitterly dividing Bolsonaro's Brazil. Well, Brazil, like many countries now, is bitterly divided. Yeah, there's a deep division between people of different political persuasions, the different camps, and so on. Bitter, it's related to taste. Now, right here, this, oh, you can't really see, oh, that's funky. This is a lemon, and so I'm going to lick the lemon. Oh, ooh. Now, a lot of people would say, ooh, that's bitter. But technically, no. Lemons are technically sour. Because if we're looking at the acidic alkaline scale, the pH scale, sour, the camp in which lemons fall, is from 0 to 7. And then that's on the acidic side. Then on the basic side, the alkaline side, that's from 7 to 14, where technically bitter is. And so things that are bitter are, well, coffee. That's why people add sugar to their coffee, because it is bitter. Or pure chocolate is quite bitter. That's why people add sugar to it. Cranberries are bitter. That's why they add sugar to cranberry juice. When we're talking about bitter, it means very strong emotions. It could involve anger or sadness, but I would say especially anger or frustration. Yeah, and so many of the countries around the world are bitterly divided at this point in time. Okie dokie. I think that's good enough for that. Let's move on. Cool. Hillary Clinton offers a rare glimpse inside the family's DC home. A glimpse is a quick look. Yeah, that's it. But a quick look, especially in which you don't see the entire object because it disappears from view or it's obscured by something. I just managed to catch a glimpse of him before he went around the corner. Often with the verb to catch a glimpse of something. Who knows? I don't care. Let's move on. Los Angeles is going to cut off power and water at large parties. There have been certain repeat offenders who keep throwing parties or holding parties at their homes. Well, the city is going to cut off, they're going to stop providing power and water to these repeat offenders in order to put an end to those parties which are spreading the virus, etc. Bizarre just means wildly irresponsible or could be false, strange, weird, and especially a false claim. So he's saying something about Biden which is wildly irresponsible and or crazy, strange, weird. LeBron James said something and then Trump criticized him and LeBron said, whatever, I don't care, I'm LeBron James, you're just some punk. And so, to laugh something off, Trump's criticism, he dismissed Trump's comments with a chuckle, ho ho ho, or however LeBron laughs. And so to dismiss something, saying it's not worthy of worry or recognition, especially with a laugh, or then you could also brush off those comments, much like Jay-Z's, and brush them shoulders off. Yeah, you can brush off concerns, brush off criticisms, or even people that you don't want to pay attention to. Moving on. This is sad. We had obituary in the news yesterday or the day before, but here we go. Teachers are writing their own obituaries as part of back-to-school preparations. Obituaries are the short articles in a newspaper which are published after somebody dies in order to memorialize them and commemorate their achievements in life and also let people know so then they can contact the family and offer their condolences, etc. And so teachers are writing their own obituaries because they are being put into danger, and there's a good chance that they're going to catch the virus, blah, 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 blah. But teachers should be writing lesson plans, not obituaries, to prepare for the school year. Oh boy, this is something I can get behind, I can support. Grocery store workers deserve, they merit hazard pay. Hazard is something that is dangerous or will endanger you, and if you get hazard pay, it means you get higher pay because your work is very risky. People who work on the offshore oil rigs, the oil platforms, they get hazard pay because their jobs are very dangerous. Moving on now, we had extended up above, which means to make longer, could be physically, etc. But here, prolong is extended to make longer, but it's only about time, yeah, and or related to time, and not always, but typically associated with something negative, a prolonged heat wave. We typically wouldn't say I'm going to prolong my holiday. It just doesn't work right. We'd say I'm going to extend my holiday and make it longer. It's something that we've chosen, and the plane was delayed, and then that delay was further prolonged by a storm that came in. All right, let's move on. I don't want to prolong this broadcast longer than necessary. Just kidding, I'm obviously having a good time. On to prehistoric ants. Yeah, the other day we had dinosaur bone cancer. Now we've got ant predators. And these hell ants hunted their prey with unusual headgear. So maybe they had some weird antlers or something like that. I don't know. But the prey is what they eat. They were predators. They are the killers. They're the ones who are being killed and eaten. Yeah? Not just killed for fun, but for food. Yeah, and they left their prey praying for mercy. Oh, homonyms. A dad rescued his 4-year-old when a 12-foot alligator, that's like 3.5 meter alligator, came towards his 4-year-old. This dad sprung into action. Spring, sprung. And so, boing. Just like a spring, the coiled piece of metal used in ballpoint pens for shock absorbers in your car, etc. To spring into action, just a very nice piece of visual vocabulary, meaning, boom, he reacted quickly and jumped into the face of danger and maybe wrestled this alligator. I don't really know. It sounds like an exciting story. I hope somebody was filming it. I would love to see it, and I'm going to check it out after the broadcast. I hope you do too. Michelin-starred restaurants. Ooh, the best of the best. The hoity-toity. The perhaps arrogant, posh, upscale, elite, and, well, expensive restaurants. They're now delivering meals to your door. And so this article is describing how fine dining has pivoted. To pivot, like in basketball, if you've got the ball, you can't just walk. You can turn in a circle with one foot staying in place, yeah? Whoop, to pivot. But when we're talking about business, the company is keeping one foot in its original, it's a figurative foot, right? Keeping one foot in what it normally does, but changing the direction that it's going so as to maybe address a different market, but still retaining some piece of its core values and or staff, etc. And Hollywood is bubbling back to business. They're just going for the alliteration, I guess. I would never choose this verb here, but yeah, it's like little bits are popping up because bubbles are full of gas and typically they rise through liquids. And so, bloop, a little one here, bloop, another show there, bloop, a movie over here. They're bubbling back to business, I guess. Some new Star Trek debuts. It is being shown for the first time. Ta-da! On to some celebrity news. Selena Gomez hung with chefs. Hung like that. No, she hung out with, she spent time with in a casual fashion to hang out with somebody. I just like to hang out with my friends on the sofa, play some video games. That's not true. I don't have video games. I don't play them, and I don't have friends. You guys are my only friends. Ren and Stimpy, great old cartoon from my childhood, super weird. Apparently it's getting a reboot. It is being started again. They're gonna make Ren and Stimpy again some way, somehow. I don't know. Different meanings of this, but it's the idea from computers. When we boot up a computer, make it start working, or then we reboot, meaning you switch it off and turn it on again. You all know that because you're watching me on computers. I was looking for the etymology and I don't really know. I thought reboot because you just like kick it. You can't. I'm not that flexible. Kick it to get it started, but apparently not. However, to boot somebody from a party does mean to kick them out with a big heavy shoe. That was it for the news today. Really say what you mean and mean what you say. Instead of just using the same old tired phrases again and again and again, diversify. All right. And so that is it for today. I hope you have a great day, an even better weekend, and I'll see you on Monday, 8 p.m. this time. Much love, enjoy, stay safe. Bye-bye. Ciao. Stop the stream.